I do not support corruption. All I can say, if I were in your position, I would take with myself and hand over to someone else who is not compromised.
Senator Brown.
Thank you, President. Let me start by also congratulate...
Senator Brown, you want the black card?
No. Don't need it. I'm not going to be reading. No, leave it. Yeah. President, let me start by adding my word of congratulations to Minister, Senator Dana Morris Dixon on her elevation to the tough job. I'm not sure if it should be congratulations or condolences, but commiseration. But we wish you well. Your youthful energy, we hope, will bring the transformation that is necessary and has been too long in coming in that ministry. Last week you spoke, Minister, and you indicated to us that you were a graduate of a college just below JC, Campion College. We wish to, on this side, extend to the education fraternity, to Campion College, to the parents of that youngster, to the students there, our condolences on the tragedy that took place during this week. Another feeder school, St. Peter and Paul, had a similar accident some time ago, and we said then that we're going to put in strict regulations, goalposts, only to see that it occur. So one thing we wish, Minister, for you to do is to not just promise to make change, but to deliver on those changes. Because one life loss of that potential engineer, doctor, politician, accountant, whatever that person could have been, is a sad loss to our country. So to his parents, friends, our condolences. President, in a debate like this, well, before I come to the debate, let me also say that we congratulate the elevation of Senator Samuda, but we thought that he would have been to another place. But we also thought that he would not have waited a whole month without being reassigned or assigned elsewhere. But such is the nature of things. And so, as we come to this debate on the Financial Services Act, I'm missing a colleague from among us who would participate in such a debate. And so my solidarity and support goes out to the private sector rep who would speak not just as a bureaucrat or a technocrat, Senator Branson, but as somebody who is in the field and who represents the views of the private sector. So we miss Dan's participation in this debate, and we wish for him the best. We note the ascension to the Order of Jamaica, and we also think he deserves congratulations on that. So Dan, wherever you are, we miss you in the debate. And we look also, ministers for the 21st senator to join us. It's what, over a month now or more that we're one short. So we're looking forward to the completion of the team. So, Senator Abraham, the people of Jamaica's business. The Constitution said 21. Senator Ransford, this sector is a sector globally that has to be regulated. The name in the Caribbean, Stanford, doesn't argue well for the sector. Maybe some cricketers benefited. We have seen cases like olint and cash plus, which begs for regulations of the sector. In fact, it is the lack of regulations in our country over many years that led to the financial meltdown that gave rise to a solution called FINSAC. FINSAC was never the problem. FINSAC was a solution to the problem. President, I remember some years ago, I was in Trinidad when the first Cliequo crash took place. And when that crash took place, I was traveling on the road with friends, and they said, hold on, my car insurance just disappeared in the Cliequo crash. So all of a sudden, you thought your car was insured, and that gone. The financial sector left without the proper regulations led to what the crisis that we have. And Senator Ilya right. They move the debt around. They invest in the monstrosities that they engage in during that period and create the massive problem that FINSAC had to fix. And I say this because, President, FINSAC has gotten such bad name. But I remember as a union officer being at JAMALCO Center Gale when the banks were collapsing, when people were calling me from sentence to say, should we keep our money in X institution because we hear that there's a run. And so, I was at JAMALCO, and the workers were worried, Senator Gale, that they would lose their pension. And I remember Dr. Omar Davies coming to address the management and workers in a mass workers meeting at JAMALCO and assuring them that not a single one of them would lose their pension. But that assurance wasn't just for the JAMALCO workers. It was for every pensioner in Jamaica. And I can say, Senator Fitzhenley, without fear of contradiction, not a single pensioner suffer any pension loss because of the meltdown, because of the rapacious capitalists who had caused it. I can go further. Not only did the workers and their pension scheme survive, but no depositor in any of the banks that went under lost a penny of their deposit. P.J. Patterson, Omar Davies and their cabinet ensured the protection of the ordinary people and even those who weren't ordinary with plenty of money. That's FINSAC that came also to provide other protection for people, including former ministers of the Jamaica Labour Party government. including former ministers of the Jamaica Labour Party government. So these financial regulations are important, to protect our people going forward. Mr. President, subsequent to the meltdown and the introduction of FINSAC to mop up and save those who needed to be saved. Because it's not unusual for borrowers to default, you know, and for borrowers to be impacted. It's not unusual. It happened. It happened. But no depositor, no pensioner, no insurance policy holder lost in that meltdown because the government of the day protected them. President, I would have expected today for us to be discussing a bill that is not coming after the collapse of one of these financial institutions. It is the first such collapse since the 90s. It happened under the watch of Andrew Michael Holness as Prime Minister. These regulations we're coming with now, these amendments would have prevented it if they came earlier. But you know what would also have prevented it? If ministers would just read the reports sent to them from the regulatory body. Because SSL, for which this action is being taken post SSL, these actions are being taken post the collapse of SSL. Maybe if those reports sent to the minister was read, maybe if we had listened to the board led by Howard Mitchell, what has happened would not have happened to the consumers of financial services, which is what the FSC is set up to do, to protect the consumer of financial services. SSL didn't just come down like the rain outside now. It was set up from the morning before, set up from the evening before, set up from the days before, set up from months before. Didn't just happen so. Some saw it coming. Some saw it coming and took out their umbrella. They were protected. They suffered no loss in SSL. And that happened after FSC made reports to the relevant ministers, which raised the issue that Senator Braham mentioned. The FSC does have an appeal tribunal. Yes, maybe limited, and make the amendment to extend its role. But the FSC also has a board appointed with the approval of the Cabinet of Jamaica. That ought to be an internal review mechanism. And after the board, there's a minister. And the minister does have some superintendency. SSL was therefore a failure of the FSC and those in charge of the FSC, the board, the ministry, and the cabinet. Everybody in in SSL ought to have been given an umbrella. Ought to have been given an umbrella so they wouldn't get wet up. Their money could have been lodged in their account. Their money could have been lodged in their account. And so, President, this debate and the FSC Amendment Act requires some truth to be told, even though some people in here are squealing about the standard of debate. A debate without truth being told is a grand waste of parliamentary time. And so, those truths has to be told. See, Mr. President, I want to lift the standard according to them by citing former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, who said recently that it is the government who warrant to the citizens of the country that it is safe to put their monies in these institutions like SSL. I want you to be like the man from Old Harbour who cursed the former Prime Minister. I want you to be like the man from down at Old Harbour who cursed the former Prime Minister Bruce Golding for saying the government has a responsibility to prevent such failures. And this legislation that we're debating goes somewhere belatedly, but we welcome it in making the preparation. I know, and the country knows, that the FSC has had in recent time members of financial institutions being reported to them for giving out loans in a manner that omits collateral and proper security. Senator Morris hinted at it. It's not the first time that loans are given out without security and the necessary collateral. A former Prime Minister of the country, as a beneficial owner of a company, saw that company getting a massive loan. And Senator Hill, why these amendments are necessary? It is because, and as an ex-banker you would understand this, the bank who gave that loan forgot that they gave the loan. The bank that gave that loan forget that they gave the loan. And the borrower didn't remember that he had gotten the loan. And that was part of all that came out in the Commission of Inquiry, for which we can't see a full report after $160 million was paid for that report. So, I hope that these amendments will lead to nobody forgetting that they lend money or that the borrower forget that it was lent to him. That's just the reality. And so, when you mention, Senator Hill, about 20% representing the beneficial owner threshold, I wonder to myself whether or not, if I'm involved in a company with 25%, 30%, or even 100%, whether or not the beneficial owner status will apply to me, and whether it is okay for the FSC or any other government agency investigating issue of finance, well, let's say illicit enrichment, or money laundering, or any financial crime, well, it would be okay for them to pierce the veil, the corporate veil. That seems to be a live issue in the country. Can the corporate veil be pierced? And so we took two bills today. Segregated accounts bill. It has a definition of beneficial owner. And I believe, sorry? No, just hold a second. I know you don't know it. Hold on. I know you don't know it. The Segregated Accounts Companies Act speaks to beneficial owner having the meaning in the Companies Act. But this one today, yeah, you said that. But this one today, this one we're debating now, does not have that. It says in this one, beneficial owner has the meaning of in the Trust and Corporate Services Providers Act. Maybe it's the same. When I get a letter from the Integrity Commission that speaks to beneficial owner, whether you're a beneficial owner, is there a consistency? Is there a consistency in the definition of beneficial owner? There may be. Because, Senator Gill, you and I know that under different laws, the definition of a worker is not the same. Holiday with Pay Act different from the Labor Relation Industrial Dispute Act or the Employment Termination Redundancy Payment Act. So, what I'm saying, just as I raised the issue about so many tribunals in my question, we need to make sure that the term beneficial owner is consistent. I'm not saying it is not. I'm simply saying, because I'm simply saying you have reference to different pieces of legislation. So I didn't get a chance to look at the Integrity Commission Act to see what does beneficial owner refers to. And if all of them meets the 20% threshold, and if all of that means that the veil of corporate veil can be pierced, because in the investigation of these things, it is necessary that the corporate veil be pierced, so people can know how money passes through accounts. Because it is that passing through of accounts that led in the main to the financial meltdown in the past. It is the greed and the corruption that added to that process. And this is why, like Senator Morris, I stand with the Integrity Commission. And so, Mr. President, given I hear squealing. And this is why, Mr. President, this is why we on this side support these belated amendments. Have you given somebody permission to be squealing that loud, President? So we support these, and we hope that we will never see consumers of financial services suffer in the way those at SSL under the leadership of this government, that is to say, the FSC under the leadership of this government, has allowed so many persons to suffer. Floyd St. Morris spoke to Usain Bolt. Usain is not the only one. This one, Minister Hill, is on your government. Claim the paternity because the DNA says this is on the watch of Andrew Michael Holness. May it please you, Mr. President.
Loyal viewers and subscribers, honorable people, give thanks for your support to the AVI-NUE. Know that I appreciate you sincerely. New viewers, welcome on board. Know that your presence is appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. United we win.